Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be doing another episode of World in Flames Collector's Edition, Days of Decision 3, Combined Game Playthrough, number 3. This will be the January-February 1940 turn. So far it's been a pretty interesting game. We saw the collapse and vichying of France the last turn. We saw the Japanese having issues in China. They seem to be taking pretty heavy losses in China lately, even though they are slowly pushing the Chinese back. And so far, there are still three major powers that are neutral: the Soviet Union, the Italians, and the Americans. Don't know how long that's going to last, and I don't know how that's going to pan out, but we'll see. So let's get started, and let's take a look at starting money. Starting money for this turn, we have Germany at 8, Japan at 6, Italy at 2, USSR at 3, Commonwealth at 3, USA at 3, China at 1, and Free France at 0. Now, these totals don't quite match with the totals from the last turn because I had to make some adjustments due to omissions and math errors. So these are the actual totals after I adjusted for everything. And okay, so let's go and take a look and see. I've put in bids for the major powers. Let's go take a look and see what we have. We have every single major power bidding this turn. Now, if you recall from last turn, there were a number of major powers that took the political option increased bid points. So you're going to see some pretty high bids due to those increased bid points. And there was a few major powers that bid more than 1 point because they definitely want to get their political options this turn because all the major powers are eligible for gear ups. So let's take a look at what we got. Let's go over to the initiative position track and see how this pans out. Well, let's see. First up, we have the Soviets. They bid 2. They got a +8 for their increased bid points, and they get a +3 for their third place position from last turn. That gives them a whopping 13, and that puts them in first place. Joe Stalin decided to bid 2 because he definitely wants his gear up in. And he knew there was a bunch of other major powers that had increased bid points. Okay, we have Japan. Japan is bidding 1. They're going to also get 8 increased bid points. Their 6th place position gives them a +1. That's a total of 10. The USA bid 4. They're going to get +2 for their bonus bid points. They didn't get increased bid points. They got bonus bid points. And so that's going to give them 4 + 2 is 6. No, they did get their bonus bid. They did get their increased bid points, which would be 4 because their political effectiveness is a 2. So that gives them a total of 10. So that's tied with Japan. But if we look at the political effectiveness, we see the Japanese are a 4 and the Americans are a 2. So the Japanese break that tie. They will be second. The Americans will be a third. So it's very likely that America will get her gear up this turn. Now we have the Italians bidding 1. They get 6 increased bid points and 1 for their 7th place position for a total of 6. That's going to put them in at 4th. The Commonwealth bid 1. I'm sorry, the Germans. The Germans bid 3. They're going to get a +3 for their 2nd place position from last turn. That gives them a total of 6. That's going to put them in at 5th. Now the Commonwealth bid 1. They're going to get +4. That's 5. That's going to put them in at 6. The Free French also put in a bid, though the Commonwealth will be paying for this. So they get a 1 + 2 for a total of 3. That'll put them in at 7th. And finally, the Chinese bid 1. They're going to get a 0, but that's going to be a 1, so they're going to be 8th anyways. So the last card will be on the Soviets, and the last card will be on the Chinese. For a round of political options, if everybody gets one, it'll be basically 8 political options. And everybody bidding means everybody has a chance, just like the first turn of the game. And I don't think I've seen this too often either. So alright, let's go and take a look and see what the Soviets want to do. Okay, the Soviet Union will be gearing up. So I will pay the 10 money, and the Soviets are at 1 right now, so they have just barely enough to do that. There's a bunch of political effects that I will put out, and the U.S. entry is going to be a +7, so I'll record that as well. And when I come back, we will have the Soviets activate a minor. Okay, the Soviets were considering a couple different options. They have Spain, which has a -4 French in it, and a +3 Soviet, and a -4 German. And we have Yugoslavia, which has a -4 French in it, a 2 Commonwealth, a 3 German, and 3 Soviet. And I think we're going to go for Yugoslavia. So we're going to grab the markers. We're going to head over to the status display. You can see Yugoslavia right there. And almost directly between France and the Soviet Union. So we got a -4 French. We got a 2 Commonwealth. Again, we got a 3 Soviet, and we have a 3 German. I think what we're going to do is we're going to activate the German first. Alright, and that's just going to pull the Yugoslav marker 1 hex closer to Germany, which is right here. Then I think we're going to activate the French, -4. It's going to go 2, 4, just like that. Then we're going to activate the 3 Soviet, and it's normally 2 for the hex, but 1 for the boundary, so that's going to be 3 total, so that's just enough. Pulls Yugoslavia into the communist ideology, and that's it for that 3. And then we have 2 Commonwealth, and we activate the 2 Commonwealth. It's going to drag the marker probably into this hex, but it's 2 for the hex and 1 for the boundary, so that's actually a total of 3, and there's only 2 Commonwealth points. Not enough, so that doesn't move the marker, and now the Soviets have a second minor within their ideology. Okay, so we don't roll to end the political phase at this point because there's a +1 to the die. So we'll move on and we will see what the Japanese want to do. Okay, this is probably going to sound pretty much like a broken record this turn, with maybe one exception. So the Japanese are going to gear up. That's going to cost them 9 money. There's a few minor effects out here, and the U.S. entry is a +8. So I'm going to record all that and come back, and we'll have Japan activate a minor. Okay, Japan's going to activate Argentina. So I'm going to grab the markers. We'll head over to the status display. Status display. What do we got here? We got 4 markers total. We got a 2 German. We got a -4 Commonwealth. We got a -2 Japan and a 1 America. So Argentina is, I believe, right here. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to activate the American one because it's not going to do anything. Then I think what we'll do, we'll activate the Commonwealth. That's going to drive it straight back. 2 hexes. Then we'll do the Japanese. It's going to put it here, and then the German will put it here. So that's about as far as Argentina's going to get. And the last thing the Japanese can do is roll a die to see if they end the political phase. And a 10 certainly does not end the political phase. We will move on to the United States. And I'm sure you know what they're going to do. So we'll come over here, grab the old sheet, put it in Central Russia, and the United States will be gearing up. There's a bunch of minor effects here. I'm going to put those out. The U.S. entry is a +9, and the U.S. has the most expensive gear up with 12 money. So I will do all that, and I'll come back, and I'll have the United States activate a minor. Okay, the U.S. has decided they're going to activate Venezuela. So I'm going to grab the markers. And we have a -1 U.S., a 4 Commonwealth, a -9 for Japan. Now, negative political influence doesn't affect the minor when it's more than 11 hexes away from the major. And Venezuela right here is exactly 11 hexes away from Japan. So we're going to activate the Japanese. That's -9. However, it's only going to move it 1 hex because now the rest of it is disregarded because the marker is now 12 hexes away from Japan. Okay, so that was an easy way for the democracies to get rid of all that negative, which would have pushed Venezuela right off the edge of the map over here somewhere. So, because these hexes, this square is supposed to wrap around. So if you leave at J, you come back on J on the other side. Alright, so we have a -1 US. We'll activate that one next. And then we'll go for the 4 Commonwealth. Now, hex normally cost 2 for the hex and 1 for the boundary. So that's 3, and the other one isn't quite enough to get it into this hex here, which would be the next hex closer to the Commonwealth. So that 1 point is lost. Alright, and the last thing for the U.S. to do is roll a die and see if they end the political phase. They rolled a nice juicy 5, so we will move on to Italy. I'll adjust the U.S. marker. The U.S. production is now going to be 1/2. 1/2 of 40 is 20 last time I checked. Alright, let's go take a look at what the Italians want to do. And surprise, surprise, it's going to be gear up. It's going to cost them 7 money. The U.S. entry is a low +4. There's some minor effects here. I'll put that out, and when I come back, we'll have Italy activate a minor. Okay, the Italians have decided they're just going to clear off Hungary. They don't want any of that influence build up enough so that another major power could pull something with Hungary and drive it out of the hex with Italy. So we're going to grab the markers and head over to the status display. Alright. Actually, quite a few markers here. So we have 6 different markers. Well, the -1 German is not going to be enough to do anything, and the -1 American is not going to be enough to do anything. Now let's see these others. 8, 9, 8, 9, 10, 11. So the French marker is in range. So normally it would probably drive the marker probably into this hex, maybe this hex, but anyway, we'll figure it out for this hex. So it's 2 for the hex, 1 for the boundary, which is 3, an additional 1 from moving away from any allied major power, that's 4, and an additional 1 for leaving a hex occupied by a major power that can control it. So it's going to be a total of 4 to move the marker, so that's not enough. Obviously, the 2 Commonwealth won't be enough either. Now, the 4 Soviet, it's 4 for this hex. Well, actually, it's 3 for this hex. I actually made a mistake. It would drive the marker out of that hex into here, because it actually would cost 4. 2, 3, 4. It actually costs 4, and that's how much we had in French. No, we only had 3. So yeah, I was right. I was right. It cost 4 for that hex. Now, if it costs 4 for this hex, we got a boundary here. It's going to cost 5 for this hex. So the Soviet marker will not move it either. And the Italian 4 won't matter. The Italians did that because they didn't really look to figure this out before I came over here. In case the marker did end up in a hex outside of where Italy is, the 4 Italian would be enough to draw it back in. And that's basically why the Italians did that. Alright, and then the last thing the Italians do is roll a die, see if they end the political phase. Nice big giant 9 certainly does not do that. We will move on down to the Germans, and I'll bet you can't guess what they're going to do. We'll come over here to the Russian plains again. And there's the sheet. And Germany will be gearing up. It will cost them 10 money. US entry is a +7, and there is a whole bunch of minor effects to put out. So I'm going to do all that. And when I come back, Germany will activate a minor. Okay, surprisingly enough, Germany is going to activate Spain. Even with a German -4 in there. So I think they got a plan here. I don't know how well it's going to work out, but we will certainly see. So we got a 2 American, that's 2 1s. Must have not had a 2, that's 2 1s. A 4 German, a 3 Soviet, a -4 French, and a -1 Italian. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to activate the -4 German. Now that's going to drive it straight back 2 hexes, and that's actually 11 for Germany. So that actually will do, just like that. Now we're going to activate the 2 American. It's going to pull it straight over this way. Then we're going to activate the 1 Italian's not going to do anything, so we can get rid of that guy. I think Germany's trying to get Spain as far away from anybody as possible, because you know she doesn't have much of a chance of aligning Spain, so really just want to keep them out of other people's hands. I think we're going to do the -4 French. That's going to drive it straight over this way. And then we'll activate the 3 Soviet, which is going to draw it 1 hex closer to the Soviet, but the extra point is blown off, so too bad for that. And that's kind of okay from Germany's perspective, where Spain is. Kind of close to the communist ideology, but what can you do? Alright, so now we've had 4 previous political options played, so this die roll is going to be at a -1. Let's see what we get. Oh, poor Commonwealth, poor France, poor China. No political options for them this turn. However, they will get increased bid points for next turn. I will record that. And when I come back, we'll take a look at reinforcements, do the initiative and the weather, and then go from there. Okay, reinforcements for the January-February turn. We have a German cruiser going in the construction pool. We have 5 offensive points being recorded on the track. And we also have a good garrison army, a good garrison corps rather, and 3 militia units. The Soviets are getting another infantry army, a pretty good one. The Nationalist Chinese are getting a garrison army. The Italians are getting a pilot and a combat air group. The United States is getting a convoy point and 2 battleships, the Tennessee and the California. The Commonwealth is getting a cruiser in the construction pool, a second cruiser in the construction pool. So that's 2 cruisers in the construction pool and a convoy point. The Japanese are getting 2 carriers into the construction pool. The Shokaku and the Zukaku, both in the construction pool. Oh, and they got a transport in the construction pool. And they got a headquarters, Yamamoto, and 2 militia units. And that basically does it for reinforcements. Let's go roll initiative. And we will roll the weather, and we will see what we get for a turn. I am expecting not so great weather. Whenever you need a chart, it's always at the other end of the table. Alright, so let's do the initiative. Again, red communists, blue democracies, and the white are the fascists. So again, the fascists won handily. And surprisingly, I think the Germans want to go first. I think they want to go first. So they're going to be first up. And then we have the Democrats and the Communists both tied. And I think the Democrats will go second, followed by the Communists. Now we will do a weather roll, the all-important weather. That's this column right here. Oh, come on. I'll move the Polish marker. Alright, let's see what we get for a weather roll. There's a +1 to this die. A 4 becomes a 5, which is snow, snow, rain, fair, rain, fair. So snow, snow, Arctic, north temperate, rain, Mediterranean, fair, north monsoon, rain, south monsoon, fair, south temperate. There's a +1 to the next weather roll, and the impulse marker will move up 2. So I'm going to get the reinforcements on the board, and I'll come back with probably the fascist impulse if they're doing anything. If not, then I might come back with a summary of all the impulses. Okay, for the fascist impulse, the Japanese took a combined. Over here in the Pacific Theater, during the Communist and Democrat impulses, they stood where they are. They don't need to move, so they're good with where they are. Over here in Europe, the Communists just moved a few units around on the Polish border. Over here, okay, the Germans took a naval and stuck their fleet in Brest, whatever you want to call it, and that was their impulse. Then the Commonwealth did a naval, got their convoy escorts out, and deployed the home fleet in the Bay of Biscay. They are 2 convoy points away from removing the convoy points in the Bay of Biscay and putting them out in the Central Atlantic. And it's going to take a little while. I think the next turn they get 1. And I might be able to scrape one from the Caribbean, because it won't be needed anymore, because the Central Atlantic will link South America with the North Atlantic. And then so those convoy points in the Bay of Biscay can move up to the Faroes Gap, and get them a little bit further away from the German problem. Okay, so that ended the first set of impulses. I'm going to roll the weather. See what we get for a weather roll. Now there is a +1 to this die. A 2, which is a 3, which is storm, rain, fair, fair, rain, fair. So storm, rain, fair, fair, rain, fair. And the impulse marker still moves up 2, and there's no additional 1 to the weather roll, weather die for next set of impulses. So I'm going to do another set of impulses. And I suspect the Germans are going to do a land. I don't know what's going to go over on the east. I have to take a look at it, but I'll be back shortly. Well, it looks like this turn is going to be a turn of maneuvering around, because there wasn't a whole lot of activity in Pacific for any of the 3 impulses. Over here in the Atlantic, just looks like the Germans kind of just moved a bunch of infantry around. They railed a couple units, and that was about it. And the Commonwealth, they sent Gort down to Egypt. That's what they did. And that was about it. And I will roll for weather, and I'll roll for the next set of impulses for weather, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we have a straight up weather roll here. That's a 5, so the weather got a little bit worse. Snow, snow, rain, fair, rain, fair. Impulse marker is still moving up 2, and there's a +1 to next turn's weather roll. So I'll get that noted down, and I'll take a look and see if any of the major powers want to do anything. Okay, I just went through the fascist impulse, and then I rolled to see if the turn ended, and fascists rolled a 1, so yes, indeed, they did end the turn. And that does dig both the communists and the democracies out of the -1 box. So they're kind of happy with that. And so now I'm going to roll for partisans, and then we have to roll for U.S. entry, and then I will do the production, which is going to be quite a bit compared to the last. Because what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4 major powers, 5 major powers geared up. Should be interesting. All right, so here we go. Partisans is an 8. France is on there. India is on there. And the NEI is on there. Oh yeah, the Commonwealth ended that partisan in India this turn. They did do that. So France. France has a partisan value of 15, which is half, because it's the first year. So that is 7.5. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units in France, so there's no roll. India is a 5, so I'll roll for India. And a 5 doesn't cut it because there's 3 units there, so it cuts it down to a 2. So India is all set, and now we got to roll for a U.S. entry. No cities fell in China this turn, so the Japanese only roll once, and the Germans only roll once. Some modifiers, let's see. Japan has a +2 to the die. So they got a 9, and Germany got a 7. So that's going to be a +3 for Japan, and a +1 for Germany. So I will note that down, and then I'll come right back with production. Alright, get the production done. Big spenders this turn. We have Germany. Germany has a production of 30 now, and started with 25 and spent 24. Japan has a production of 17, started with 13 and spent 14. Italy has a production of 9, started with 3 and spent 7. And the USSR has a production of 15, started with 6 and spent 6. The Commonwealth has a production of 10, but got 2 Lend-Lease from America. Started with 13 and spent 13. The U.S. has a production of 16. Actually has a production of 19. Sent out 3 in Lend-Lease, left her with 16. And started with 3 and spent 3. China has a production of 4. A production of 3, got 1 Lend-Lease. for 4, started with 4 and spent 4. And the Free French have no production as of right now. So I'm going to get all these wonderful units on the circle here, and that's going to do it for this turn. I'd like to thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, I appreciate all that, and I will see you next time.